Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Industrial Complex. I'm your host, Dallas Deluxe, and today, my friends, we are going to do something special. We are going to wrap up our two-part tale of the tale of two Adamskis. Two men, both named Adamski, unrelated, and yet legends in the UFO community. So today we're going to talk about the second of the Adamskis, the most famous Adamski of them all, George Adamski. Who or what was George Adamski? Let me tell you. George Adamski, born in Poland, 1891, emigrated to the United States when he was 2. Lived a semi-itinerant lifestyle until about 1944, when he headed west and got weird. What did he do out there? Started studying theosophy, another 20th century mysticism along the lines of Helena Blavatsky. OMG! Oh, we're going to do a story about her. Anyway, studying theosophy is not enough for old George. Oh no! George decides he's going to start a cult with him as the star. So now he starts his cult called the Royal Order of Tibet, ROT for short, in which he's more or less worshipped as a demigod, and people give him money and adulation, etc., etc. And this is all great and fine and dandy. Until about 1949 or 1950, he figures out, hey, the real action is in UFOs. That's what's going on. Now, about this time, George owns a hamburger stand. Really more of a... It's alternately described as both a cafe and a hamburger shack, but he owns it. It's called Palomar Gardens, right next to Palomar Observatory. No relation, yet he owns a telescope and charges people to look through it. And he regales them with tales about how he's seen UFOs. Now, all this is great and dandy, because he's sort of passing himself off as a professor of astronomy, despite having a third-grade education. But he figures out, you know what, maybe I could make more money if I actually had proof of all these aliens that I claim to be seeing. So in 1952, he goes out, and on his first time looking for aliens, he finds one. He sees an alien ship, oh my gosh, and takes this picture. Bang. Check it out. Wow, that's pretty convincing. Doesn't look at all like a flying lampshade. Oh no. So let's zoom in a little bit. Boom. Things get a little weirder. That's definitely not a lampshade. And let's zoom in one more time. Pow. Wow. Okay. 100% guaranteed not to be a lampshade. And you could never tie a string onto that little ring on the top, and those are definitely not light bulbs on the bottom. Oh no, not at all. So, now on his first time out looking for UFOs, not only does he see one, he decides, hey, I'm going to approach this UFO. When approach he does, and out pops an alien. Oh my God, first time looking for aliens and he spot one. Oh man, he should play the lottery right after that. Dang. Okay, so, speaking of aliens, how's it going? Alright. Got an alien craft in front of us here. That's not a lawnmower at all. That's a freaking alien. That's a scout ship right there. But I digress. So, this alien pops out, and now to be clear, I just want to set the stage for you. I mean, are we talking like little green men? What are we talking here? Oh no! This alien, whose name is Orthon, O-R-T-H-O-N, is tall and buxom and devilishly handsome. He has long flowing hair. Looks like the perfect ideal of Western beauty. And he's wearing, of course, a tan unitard, which is what all spacemen wore in those days, large belt, and of course, red shoes. Because, you know, honestly, if you're going to be gallivanting about the universe, you got to look good, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be dressed in a tan unitard, you know, you need to pop a color here. You know what I'm saying? And what better way to, you know, with your shoes? The shoes tie the outfit together. You know what I'm saying? And these shoes, they left little hieroglyphs into the ground as he walks. Nike symbols? I don't know, but hieroglyphs nonetheless. So Orthon, apart from being amazingly beautiful and wise, it's also a bit of a global warming alarmist. And he tells George that he was just flying by in his spaceship here, and he just saw George, and he just wanted to come down and have a chat with him. Well, you know, Orthon was concerned about a few things, you know. It's like, George, George, this whole human race, you guys are getting a little atom bomb crazy, man. Nuclear bombs are going off. Y'all are polluting the world. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about your future, George. I've come to have a chat with you. So George is like, wow, this is pretty crazy, Orthon. Thanks for coming by. This is awesome. Now, it doesn't stop there. Things go on. George Orthon eventually takes George for a ride in his flying saucer. All right. Where they go? To Venus. Okay. Venus, home of the 800-degree weather and the sulfuric acid freaking atmosphere. That's where Orthon lives. Oh, great. It takes George there. And George is having a great time because the air is breathable, according to him. And they go to other places. They go to Mars. They go to Saturn. They go to the dark side of the moon, which is lush and has broad boulevards and trees, plants, and flowers, and hot girls. I mean, it's just awesome. George, living the life, man. Now, all this time, as this tale goes on, George, you know, he's hitting the lecture circuit. You know, he's making money, delivering lectures. He's writing books. I read his first book, The Saucers Have Landed, with Robert Leslie, in which he encounters Orthon for the first time. Now he goes on and talk about, I mean, Orthon is talking about his race and how where he's from, everything is great. The people are wonderful. Nobody has disagreements. There's no old age. There's no disease. There's no death. And to prove it, he trundles out George's dead ex-wife, who's apparently been traveling around with Orthon all these years. Oh my gosh, what a coincidence. And not weird at all. Huh. Your dead ex-wife is now hanging out with the space alien that you just met. Not weird at all. Oh my gosh. Okay, George. Whatever, bro. Now, the tale goes on. Here's the thing. When you guys start to get famous like that and you hit the lecture circuit and you're on TV and you're on, you know, the cover of the magazines, you can't just tell the same tale all the time. It gets weirder as the years go on. And by 1960, George has not one but two alien girlfriends, and don't tell anybody, but a third side chick who's from Saturn. And of course, blonde. So, you know, go George, right? Now, believe it or not, to this day, 50, 60 years later, there are still people who believe that George is real. He is the shiz. He is what's going on. He really saw all this stuff. He's really got a blonde side chick from Saturn. All this stuff, totally real. And by the way, not weird at all. Orthon and George's dead ex-wife cruising around the galaxy together hand in hand is just totally normal. That's just what happens, man. What's the problem? Don't be so uptight. Oh my gosh. Okay. As you may have gathered, I take a different view. Okay. Call me a cynic, but I think this is a gigantic, farm-fresh, steaming load of... You're gonna have a hard time. Short of a space alien landing right here and Orthon popping out, you're gonna have a hard time convincing me otherwise. Now, George goes on and unfortunately gives his last lecture in 1965, I believe it was, dies at the age of 74. Of a heart attack after giving a lecture in Silver Spring, Maryland. Now, the interesting thing about George, as if all this was not interesting enough, but in the historical context view, what is fascinating about this tale is that George Adamski was really the first one to kick off this whole idea of the Nordic aliens. Now, for those of you unaware, what are the Nordic aliens? I'll take one more step back. Different alleged alien races sort of go in and out of favor with fashion, okay? Throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was all about the Greys. Nowadays, people are talking about the reptilians a lot. And even now we're getting into the blue-skinned aliens we are seeing a lot. But back in the day, back in the 50s, it was all about the Nordics. What were the Nordics? They were a race of aliens, allegedly, that looked sort of like the Nordic ideal. They were tall, they were well-built, they had long, flowing blonde hair. They were beautiful to behold. They were kind and generous, and they were concerned about us lowly earth people that they viewed as sort of country cousins, and they were there to help us, man. They wanted to help you out, bro, because they're kind and beautiful people. Okay? And apparently they party a lot and hook up with earth people. So, I don't know, man. I don't make this stuff up, dude. I just chronicle it. You know what I'm saying? Look, that's just what was going on at the time. Don't judge. That's just what we had going on at the time. So there you have it, my friends. The tale of two Adamskis. Now, you could say that George was a lunatic. You could say that he was a con artist. Probably a little bit of both. But you know what, man? I don't think he ever made anybody unhappy. I think he told a lot of tall tales. People got entertained by it. They might have gave him a couple of bucks. But you know what, man? At the end of the day, I don't think he hurt anybody. I think he was just a dude that just needed to be worshipped and needed to make money. So, I mean, I don't have much of a problem with what he did, but it certainly was not moral, and he was certainly full of nonsense. So there you have it, my friends. Two tales. Two people named Adamski, both legends in the UFO community. I'm your host, Dallas Deluxe. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to see you on the flip-flop. I'm going to see you for the next installment of the Paranormal Industrial Complex. Good night. Woo!